All right, Maruti Suzuki's press conference, as I promised, has started. We are expecting to get some clarity with respect to exactly what way the minority shareholders have voted. As Sonia has been pointing out, since morning today, shareholders of Maruti Suzuki are expected to vote in favor. This is something that we've been tracking for quite some time. The stock has taken a battering in trade over the last 6 months alone. We are expecting to get some clarity on that. Today will be the final decision. I believe that meeting has just concluded, and that is why the management is there right there. R.C. Bhargava will be speaking just a short while from now. So let's cut into the press conference.
Okay, I think we can start.
Yes, sir, please.
Thank you for coming at this time of the evening. I'm sure all of you are at this time very busy with the day's actions. And the purpose, of course, is, as you know, the Gujarat project related party transactions required voting by the minority shareholders to decide whether they were in favor or against the contract manufacturing agreement and the lease agreement for the land. These are the two items which really required minority shareholders to vote in terms of the new Company Act. These are all related party transactions because the proposal is that the expansion factory in Gujarat would be established by Suzuki's subsidiary, 100% owned subsidiary in Gujarat. So this voting started on the 16th of November, and as mandated by the law, it continued for 30 days, ended on the 15th. Again, as per law, an independent scrutinizer has to be appointed. And Mr. Manish Gupta was appointed as the scrutinizer. And it is his job to see that the entire process of the election, both e-voting as well as physical voting, both are allowed, is carried on as per the law and in a totally fair and transparent manner, that the votes are counted, that nobody from the company gets involved in this whole process, and he gives a report which he gave to me at about 4:45 today about the results of the voting. So he functions like kind of an election commission for this kind of business. And as you would be keen to know, the two areas, as I said, were the contract manufacturing agreement for the production and sale of vehicles, and the other was the lease deed for leasing our land for enabling this to happen. Now, the results of the voting show that out of the votes cast, which were 6,58,33,152, the votes in favor of the resolution, which means for approving the implementation of the expansion project by the Suzuki subsidiary, were 5,90,84,468, which is 89.75%. And 10.25% votes were against the resolutions for approving Suzuki Gujarat. 89.75 were in favor of Suzuki Gujarat implementing this project and approving the contract manufacturing agreement and the agreement to lease land to the Gujarat subsidiary for implementing the project. 10.25% were against the proposal. So that's the result. That means the resolution has been passed, and it's been passed actually quite comfortably. The voting was for both equally. They voted. Nobody voted for one against the other because both were actually linked. One had to be with the other. So that's the result of the voting. Just to describe how it's taken a long time to reach this stage. And the entire Maruti team, assisted by Axis Bank and Kotak Mahindra, have been meeting the major investors in London, in Singapore, in Hong Kong, and last year we met them in New York and Boston. So, and of course Mumbai, and also Chennai for that matter, Mumbai and Chennai. So we met these voters. We've also met all the major proxy companies. The biggest proxy company is, of course, ISS. It's a global company. And it has, I think, 31,000 clients or some such figure. So it's a very big company, 900 employees. And the other one is Glass Lewis in the United States. And both these, Glass Lewis, of course, doesn't meet with the companies. They want you to talk to them over a video conference, which is what we did with them. And both these had recommended that the resolution should be voted upon favorably. In India, we had two basic proxy companies, the IAAS and the SES. IAAS had recommended against the voting. SES had recommended for the voting. And I think the results speak for themselves in terms of how the investors have reacted to the various reports given by the different proxy companies. Just for your information, maybe of some interest to some people, in all these discussions, probably the biggest issue which was raised related to the fact that this was a unique transaction. Such a transaction had never been done in the past. And therefore the investors were a little bit uncomfortable initially with dealing with something which was new. You know, human beings don't like change. They are more comfortable with the standard, traditional ways of doing things which have precedents and which are therefore very easy to understand. It's making change which becomes hard, and not only in this case, as we see in all walks of life, including making changes in the economic systems of the country. When you propose change, you run into a lot of opposition and a lot of difficulties. And we had the same question, why is Suzuki doing this? Why are they putting so much money here? What is in it for them? And all these questions. We had to patiently explain all these things and why this would be eminently in favor of the minority shareholders of Maruti as well as the majority shareholder, which means it would be in favor of Maruti as a company. Because the board of Maruti had approved this whole transaction only for the reason that the board was fully convinced that the transaction would benefit the company, and if the company benefits, all the shareholders benefit. So that's the background of this transaction. But I think the issue is now closed. The project can go ahead. The Gujarat, first line in Gujarat would get commissioned early in 2017. We need the capacity because We are actually running out of capacity in Haryana. We are, I think this year, going to be 100% capacity utilization here, and there's 2016 yet to go. So we will have to make some improvised methods of meeting demand next year. But the Gujarat capacity is very much required, and now with this voting done and this thing out of the thing, I think people can concentrate now on going ahead and doing regular business. So I think that's all I needed to say at this point. We can open for questions.
Sir, Laishamber from PTI. I just wanted to understand, are you concerned that about over 10% of the minority shareholders didn't quite get convinced with your proposal, number one? And also, number two, in the reply that you had given to IIAS, what you said was that the total investment in the Gujarat plant is going to be about 18,500 crore, and the total capacity is going to be about 15 lakh annually.
Correct.
But what we heard when the plant was, the foundation stone was laid at that point of time was about 2.5 lakh each on each line, and about say 2,500 crore, which comes to about 8,500. So if you could just elaborate on what the difference,
sure,
please.
It's, I think, never possible in any that I know of any to get 100% favorable vote. There are always people who will remain suspicious, distrustful, who believe that, as I said, that there is something else behind all this. And in any case, in most areas, I think we as a people tend to be a little bit distrustful of all things. So I think 10% vote against is not something which really should worry us any at all, because 90% for the proposal, I think, is what counts. Both these statements are absolutely correct. The total investment in Gujarat is going to be roughly 18,500 crores. This 18,500 crores will result in setting up 6 separate lines of 2.5 lakh capacity each. The